You're now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show. The amount of celebrities you are just like, yeah, let's just ask them to be in our magazine. I'm like, what? You have nudged me so much to push myself and get some incredible guests on this show. And I know that you have contacted many celebrities in your time to ask for favors with your books, with magazines. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I guess, like I said before, it literally comes from, I'd been told one too many times, where one day it was just like, that's just not me anymore, and I'm going to do what I want to do and not be afraid. And once that fear was gone, and I just looked at people as people, and this is your phrase, Chloe always says, if you don't ask, you don't get. And it was that mentality. It was, what's the worst that can happen? I'd been told no so many times that if another person told me no, fine, you can go in that pile. But I'm going to continue until I get yeses, and I'm going to just see what happens for myself. And when you do that and you reach out to someone on a human level, like authentically, people are, nice. They'll want opportunities. If you're going to provide a high quality opportunity to someone, they're not likely to, just plain say no. Even if you don't get it because that person's too big for the brand you have at the moment, you start learning, right, this is the level I'm at right now. It's always, there's steps you can always take. Yeah. Even in my writing career, I didn't go straight into journalism. I actually had to go into copywriting first, but I didn't let that, put me down. And that was literally sat at a desk with a clothes rail in front of me, picking out every single one and writing, like wooden buttons on front, round neckline, long sleeves. So it's the description you see online when you're purchasing products.
Wow.
And I had to go through rails and rails every single day. But the way I saw it was, I am writing for a brand in fashion. Eventually, I'll ask them, can I do some emails? Can I, write bigger copy on the website? And step by step by step, I started, doing more content for people I was working for, and became slowly an editorial journalist. So there's always steps you can take.
It was just about getting the first yes, and then the next yes, and that leads to the next yes.
Or even the first no, or the first, maybe. You learn from every single one, and you develop your message around it, and then you adjust, and you're like, okay, that person was maybe a bit too big for me right now, but you don't put them in the bin, you put them in a little bit, and you go back to them. So it's always just a learning curve with whoever you're reaching out to.
Yeah. I love this because it's so helpful for our listeners, our viewers, because so many people are either business owners, entrepreneurs, or in jobs that want connections. So my question for you, Sunna, who's been the most exciting or best yes that you've got, and what happened?
The best, yes. Well, I'm a big foodie. So one Easter, I love the Lindt bunnies, and I wanted free Lindt bunnies. I was doing an Easter roundup, and they're one of the best, products. And I just reached out. I just found the press contact, and I said, I'm doing an Easter roundup, mentioning lots and lots of brands, and I think Lindt should be a part of it. Instantly, they said yes. And not only did they send me like one product, I think they sent me like 10 different things. So I had so much amazing Lindt chocolate. And I know that's a really simple answer, but I love food, I love chocolate, and I love Lindt. So I just remember being super excited by that one.
I love that. Were we friends then? Because I didn't get any of those Lindt bunnies, and I'm a chocoholic.
We're working together this closely, so yeah.
Well, let's get that on the next magazine. And has there been someone that you've really admired and you've messaged and you thought, they've said yes, they're probably not actually going to do it then? Has anyone surprised you or like gone out of their way that you didn't expect?
I guess, okay, so one connection we got through first issue of Queens in Business magazine was actually Gok Wan. So this was not even my connection, but it was a connection of not even a friend. So I started working with universities because I wanted some help on my blog, and I could get interns to come and train them up on my blog, and they'd get placement and work experience because I wanted to be someone that does actually give someone internships and experience. So I started doing that. And this lady at Roehampton University, she wanted to chat to me, meet up for a coffee because we lived quite close to each other to find out more about each other before she said yes. And we just kept in contact because we got on really well. And we, I could see a lot of good qualities in her, and she loved my blog. So we stayed in contact. I got internships after internships. She eventually asked me to speak at the university on stages, alongside like BBC and Warner Brothers and people like that. So through this contact, I learned that she did a paper on Gok Wan. So she works in like psychoanalysis and all of that kind of thing. And she was doing something about psychology and psychoanalysis and women and the way they view their bodies. So she did this whole paper. And then at one talk that she did, Gok Wan actually came. And she was kind of like in an interview situation with him, talking to students. So through that one meeting with her and my connection to her, I was like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? I need a big name in this magazine. Let me reach out to my contact and see if she can just send a message and see what happens. And she had the mindset that a lot of people have where she was like, oh my God, no, I can't reach out to him. Like he's going to say no. And I was like, just, this is good for you too, because you're going to nurture that relationship that you had with him. And you got on with him really well. And you learned so much from, his show. So just reach out, do it for yourself as well. It's always a good thing to do. And I coached her through, why it's good to nurture relationships and all of that. And she was like, okay, let me do it. I'll let you know how it goes. So she reached out to his assistant, who instantly said yes. And then she was super excited because she's like, oh my God, I haven't spoken to him since the whole thing. Like she had done what a lot of people do, where you get the contact and then, you've done whatever you need to do and then you don't speak to them again. But there's so much more that can come from connections in a relationship. And if you nurture it, the more that can come from it. So she's now had a second connection with him and he'll remember her more. And then we managed to get Gok Wan in the magazine. So it was a very long-winded process where I wasn't reaching out directly, but I wanted to do it in the best way possible to get a yes. So I managed to get 2 people to nurture the relationship with him. And now he's in our issue 1 of our magazine.
Wow. And I knew obviously he was on our cover of our magazine. He was involved in the magazine. I never knew how it came about. And I think some people expect it to be easy. They expect it to be one connection and this and the other. But it's also about picking the right people.
Yeah.
So what made you say yes to even considering Gok Wan? Did you do research, or were you like, what about Gok Wan's story? Because I find him very, very inspiring. Like looking way back when, I'm like, God, look how far he's come and his life changes, his life's on everything. What about Gok Wan made you think, do you know what? He's right for Queens in Business?
So you need to look at, one, like you said, their story. And is it, do they speak about their story? Is it going to be something they're willing to talk about? And I know you believe this as well, but stories can be so impactful, as well as just giving things like tips and things. They can resonate and connect with people so much better. So 1, it's his vulnerability and his ability to tell his story. And then 2, it just needs to align with kind of what you stand for and your values. So you might want to go after some massive names just for their name. And I have worked with people in the past like that, and it's just not a fulfilling, project or journey for either person, because there's friction there. You're not aligning on how you want to present and how you want to collaborate. So you really need to feel their values and their mission and their vision, and does it, align with the way you think and the way you want to do things for your audience, because they're going to feel that disconnect if you got someone who's completely on a separate page to you being involved, even if it's a big name. So I think looking at what aligns you is the biggest tip I can give.